What is up, guys? Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are here. We have made it into the Brass Ring Media studio. Good morning. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I know we're a little later than normally intended, but we made it in, guys. That's all that matters. And we are here this morning to chat about AEW WrestleDream. Good morning, guys. Good morning, good morning. What up, Kylie? Good morning, Zach, K. Smith. Good morning, guys. Give everyone a few seconds to file in here. Like I said, we're a little bit later than we normally try to start on Saturday morning, so apologies for that. But we are in. We have made it here, and we're here to talk some AEW. If you follow my channel here on YouTube, Kickash Podcast, appreciate you guys. We did do a preview show over there, but today is the big day for AEW, so want to give them some shine here on Brass Ring Media as well. Go over the predictions for the card. I don't think there's been any changes or any additions. No, it looks pretty much locked in. Cool. So we have 13 matches total, 4 on the pre-show. So yeah, we'll be getting into that here in a second. I'm gonna pull this up here really quick. Hope you guys can hear me okay. But as always, guys, we appreciate you joining us here Saturday mornings and every time you do on Brass Ring Media. We appreciate it. If you're watching on Twitter, which is pretty popular, we appreciate you over there. YouTube, of course, we appreciate that as well. If you are watching on YouTube, just like and subscribe if you don't mind. I know every YouTube person out there says it, and it's pretty annoying, but it does help us out. So it is a real thing, because I was that person like, okay, like the plugs, right? Like annoying. But it does actually help the channel. It's not bullshit. It is legit. So we appreciate you guys, because the whole purpose is to build the community, right? None of us here do it for like any monetary, purposes or anything like that. Just to build the channel and to build the stream. I know that's my goal over on Kickash Podcast, and that's the guy's goal here on Brass Ring Media, which is why I dig being here, and I'm happy to be here. I'm lucky to be here on their channel. So it's a team effort, you know what I mean? So we all pretty much share the same mindset, you know what I mean? And yeah, we just appreciate you guys. So if that ever goes without said, just remember, we do appreciate you guys. But back to the actual business here at hand. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. AEW. So WrestleDream, of course, the origin of WrestleDream was created in honor of Antonio Inoki, who I believe passed away. It's been like 3 years now. Let me pull up my page here really quick. Yeah, and yeah, crazy how time flies, right? So I bring that up because in the media call, someone had asked him being Tony Khan, if or how he was going to honor Inoki, like the spirit of Inoki, if he was going to do like a video package or something to that effect. And he did. Tony Khan responded by pretty much saying, like he referenced how inspirational Inoki was and all that good stuff, and then he transitioned it over into Takeshita being the new champion now, and how proud they are to have Takeshita part of AEW and all that good stuff. So I feel like we may see a video package here today, later tonight rather. So I don't know. It was just kind of, I appreciated the question. It just kind of tickled me because it just I don't know. I don't know. Just if you guys haven't listened to the media call, definitely go check it out. Because he talks, obviously a variety of questions are brought up, right? That's the whole point. But he does talk about Andrade as well, which is pretty topical. So definitely check out that media call. We spoke about that over on my channel as well. So if you want to dive in there, that it was a fun chat with all the guys who were able to join live. But good morning, Alex. Good morning, boss. Good morning, Sai. Yeah, the counter programming shit. Yeah, that was terrible. My bad. But now I know. But good morning, Sai. You cracked me up, bro. But moving back to WrestleDream, because I'm trying not to get sidetracked, guys, because we don't have. I'm a little bit pressed for time today. Have a little event to go to this afternoon, so that should be interesting. But WrestleDream itself is airing this year. I think they're in St. Louis. God, why am I blanking? Yeah, it's in St. Louis. I felt like it was one of those things where it's like and then you say it, and it's like, wait, is that right? But yeah, they are in fact in St. Louis. Scrolling down to the card. But yeah, like I said, they have 13 matches, 4 on the pre-show. It's their tailgate brawl. Shout out to I forget who in my chat had informed me of the name because I just could not remember that last part of the title to save my life, dude. But tailgate brawl. They have 4 matches on the pre-show. They have excuse me, FTR, of course, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood facing off against Jet Speed. This pretty much seems like a no-brainer to me. FTR is going to pick up the W here. I am intrigued to see the layout, though, and the presentation of the tailgate brawl. They better be outside. It better not just be like just them in the arena just doing a regular pre-show. They better be outside having like a little wrestling ring set up, and I guess you have to have a ring set up, right? So maybe the logistics would be too much. But man, if I'm Tony Khan and I had the money that Tony Khan has, I would be like, fuck it. If I'm promoting a tailgate brawl, I am going to have some fun with it. So I'm gonna set up another ring, or set up what technically is another ring, but I'm gonna set up a ring outside in the parking lot and have a fucking tailgate brawl, have a little mini event for it. Because I don't know, like I feel like if they ended up doing something like that, maybe you don't want to do it every pay-per-view since they have pay-per-views monthly or pretty much monthly. Maybe do it like once per quarter for like your big 4 shows. Maybe, and that could kind of gear your attention if you're AEW to focus in on, okay, like these are our 4 big pay-per-views of the year. This is what we're going to kind of like pillar throughout the year against, and have some fun with it. You know what I mean? And of course, hold off your big show and do like, I hate to say like piggyback off of WrestleMania, but fuck it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So piggyback off of WrestleMania's idea. You know what I mean? Try to make it a multi-day event, not the show itself. I don't think they're at that point yet, but make it a whole spectacle, right? Like starting with, since Dynamite airs on Wednesday, you can start your little mini event on Wednesday. I love the idea of keeping pay-per-views on Saturdays. So in my little fantasy world here, I'm keeping the big show on Saturday, but have your go home show Dynamite. Then you can have Collision, whether they do that, on Thursday or Friday. Obviously, do Collision on one of those nights. Then have just a little like oh my god, what do they call it? Like a WrestleMania access type shit. Like make a little event out of it. Cause that's the, I want to say, the best part of going to, I'll keep it at WrestleMania in particular. Some of my friends don't even go to WrestleMania. They just fly out to wherever WrestleMania is, go for the fan access part of it, to meet and greet with the wrestlers and stuff like that. And then they fly back home and watch WrestleMania at home because, fucking tickets are insanely priced, especially now. But people make it a point to go, and I don't know how common that is. Some of my friends are just diehards, so I love them. But there are people out there who do it. And I just think that if, like, it's one of those things where it's like where they say, like, just for the job you want. Cody Rhodes, right? Like, dude was always wearing a suit ever since he went on the Indies. Like, there was those pictures of them, like him and the Young Bucks at Cracker Barrel. It could be like 8 a.m. or like 8 p.m. And that dude is always in a suit, right? Like that when they would sit at the the rocking chairs out front. Cody was always in a suit. I think the dude, I can't even, like, I wish that, you remember MTV Cribs? I wish they would do like AEW, like a WWE Cribs. Probably not, because there's so many stalkers nowadays. Sad. But I would love to see, like, just even, you don't have to do the whole house. I mean, I'm a weirdo, so I'd be fascinated by it. But just to see his closet, because you imagine, like, I don't know how into wardrobe Brandy is, right? But Cody alone, like that dude probably has a walk-in closet just for his suits. Because I'm sure he doesn't rent them, right? Like those shirts are tailored to him. So I can only imagine, you know what I mean? But make it a big deal, you know what I mean? So the whole point of that, just for the job you want, like if you make something feel like a big deal, people are gonna buy into that. It's like, well, actually, I'm not gonna get into that example here. I'll say that comparison for my channel. But yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to the comments here, but yeah, again, my fucking tangents that I said, need to kind of stay focused here, but it never ceases to amaze myself because I just end up going on side rants. So I apologize, guys, but I'm gonna get to the card here, kind of get that started back into the pre-show. But that was the whole point of that, getting into the tailgate brawl. And then dive into some of your comments here. But the whole point of that sidetrack was the tailgate brawl, right? So I just feel like if you're gonna have something be named a tailgate brawl, fucking have fun with it. You know what I mean? So I guess my long story long about the tailgate brawl. And if they do end up just doing something like a regular pre-show in the arena, I'm gonna be kind of low-key upset by that. But next up, we have Eddie Kingston and Hook facing off against a mystery opponent. Pretty much opened up or presented an open challenge rather to anyone who's going to be at the tailgate brawl. If you guys haven't seen the, I guess the promo little backstage segment that Eddie and Hook did, it can't be that long, a couple minutes max. Go check it out. It was pretty entertaining, pretty comical. But long story short, they threw out an open challenge saying that they're going to be at the tailgate brawl and pretty much come find them. So we'll see who ends up accepting that. And I expect Eddie Kingston and Hook to pick up the victory because Eddie just came back. I'm not going to get on my soapbox about the presentation of that because I've already said enough about it. But I will say it is a good addition to the tag team division if they keep Eddie and Hook together because Hook wasn't really doing much since he left the ops, got kicked out of the ops, whatever ended up happening with him and the ops. So he wasn't really doing much. Not really see him going after the TNT championship or anything like that, right now at least. So why not put him in a tag team? And I think Eddie Kingston, I mean, excuse me, I still think Eddie should be in the main event picture or flirting with that upper card, but I'm trying to stay focused. But if for whatever reason you are not going to put him in that position, you got to do something. You just brought him back. He's been gone for over a year, close to a year at this point. So you got to do something with him, right? And then, because if not, then what was the point of bringing him back right now? You know what I mean? So fuck it. Throw him in a tag team with Hook. They are very similar. It's as odd as that may sound. You can pull out some similarities there. Attitude-wise, like pretty much, like the main one being they don't give a fuck, and they're out there to just kick some ass, you know what I mean? Like you can't hate on two guys who have that mindset, right? But for so much, I know Hook is still making his way, right? But Hook still has that factor about him where it's almost like a little mystery factor. It has, gone down a bit, but there's still something about him that I think hasn't been exploited yet or ruined or wasted or anything yet. So there's still time, but it's very interesting to see the trajectory of Hook since he started. But topic for a different day. Next up, we have Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale facing off against Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. Like I said, on my show, I know they just put Megan Bayne over on Collision this week, but I just feel Willow's gonna pick up the victory here, man, for her team. There's something about Willow. I want them to pull the trigger on her, and I don't obviously see her defeating Mercedes Moné, right? But get to in a little bit, Chris Statlander retains the Women's World Championship, maybe we'll end up getting a Nightingale and Statlander feud, revisiting that. So that could be fun. The issue, though, is Statlander is still a new champion, right? So that believability of, they're not going to, pull a championship off of her yet, is still floating around. But I mean, shit, I didn't expect them to pull the trigger on Tony Storm losing in that Fatal 4. So, hey, cat is biting on the box. But, yeah, I don't know. So we'll obviously get to that match here in a few moments. But just a thought there, because personally, I am a big fan of Willow Nightingale. I just feel like they have something there. She's a special talent. So kind of my thoughts with that one. All right, next up we have the Conglomeration facing off against the Death Riders. Like I said before, to be honest, I'm not really kind of met my quota with this, this variation of a match between the guys, like between Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, Tomohiro Ishii, Death Riders, which is, Claudio Castagnoli, Yuta, and Daniel Garcia now. Of course, Daniel Garcia Impact. Daniel Garcia is new to the Death Rider group, but I don't know, man. What's up, Kyle? I'm just kind of over the Death Riders, man. Long story short, I'm just kind of over them. I could have sworn I would have put money on when Moxley was going to lose to Hangman. The Death Riders as a whole would just maybe take a few weeks off, and they literally just came back that following Wednesday and just continued on. I don't know, man. But speaking of the Death Riders, we will move on to Darby Allin facing off against the leader, which is Jon Moxley, in an I Quit match. This match is going to be fucking crazy. Sorry, I probably met my F word quota. But this match is going to be crazy. It's a match that I'm not going to say I'm scared for, but it's like, yo, like what? You can only imagine what these guys are going to do because it's a freaking I Quit match. So there's that. And these two guys, Darby Allin and Jon Moxley, can make a regular singles match extreme, and take it to the next level. So an I Quit match where there's literally no rules, you can legit only imagine what they're going to do. So this match, if you are not into that kind of stuff, I would probably recommend just not watching it and skipping this one. So I don't know, but the winner of this one, I'm still sticking with Darby Allin. It's going to be telling though, because if Jon Moxley loses another big match, it doesn't hurt Moxley because I don't want to say he's bulletproof, but he is at that level, especially, at this point where almost like this is a crazy comparison, but almost like a Brock Lesnar, right? Where you think of a Jon Moxley match and it's like, oh shit, that it's just gonna be, like intense, it's gonna be violent, it's gonna be brutal, all those adjectives, right? Whatever you want to describe it as. And I don't want to say you expect him to win, but it's a good probability that he's going to win. But if he doesn't win, it's like, oh shit, it's still like a big deal that he lost. Excuse me. But it's not like, oh, well, he's buried now. You know what I mean? That's why I feel like he could take a little bit of a luxury of taking some time off. And I don't think him and speaking of like, honeymoons, with MJF and stuff like that, I don't think him and Renee ever got their time off. Not that it was for their honeymoon, but I don't think they ever got their vacation. So they deserve that shit. So I'm going with Darby Allin winning here. I don't really know where that leaves Moxley going forward. I'm not saying he's, like he's lost a lost cause or anything crazy like that. But it's going to be interesting to see the next feud. And that's why I said when you're ready to bring back Eddie Kingston, treat him like a big deal. And that could have been a feud right there. You could have prolonged Darby and Moxley. Maybe this is what they're doing. They're just going through Darby Allin first with Moxley, and then the next up is going to be Eddie Kingston and Mox. And, Eddie Kingston versus the Death Riders because of the history there. So, I don't know. Maybe maybe, but I would have just still handled it a little bit differently if it was me, but it is what it is. But yeah, going with Darby Allin winning there. We have Jurassic Express, Jack Perry and Luchasaurus facing off against the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, excuse me, for $500,000. What up, Cal? She has her toy. Her toy. Sorry if you guys can hear it in the background, but at least again, like I said before, if I'm Tony Khan, of course, storyline wise, if I'm Tony Khan and the Bucks came to me and were begging, pleading for $500,000 to be on the line because Nick has a gambling problem, like they lost their money, all that crap, I'd be like, no. Long story short, no. You are the same guys who beat me up in the ring, put me in a neck brace. You know what I mean? During the NFL draft of all times. No, you're lucky you're still employed here. Yeah, no, you're lucky you still remained as EVPs after that. So I would be like, piss off, buddy. But apparently a much better human than I am and much more forgiving than I am. So props to him for that. And 500K is on the line. So if I'm the Young Bucks, I would do everything possible to win this match. You know what I mean? It could be entertaining to see Perry and Luchasaurus like running around the town with 500K if they were to actually get some benefit out of it, right? And actually get some fun out of Jack Perry and Luchasaurus winning. Have them go to these random stores and Luchasaurus, his get up, and not speaking. Like, that would be so fun. And I think it would show a different side of Jack Perry, especially if you're trying to get him back into the good guy side, with after coming off of the scapegoat and all that stuff with Kenny Omega, which I'm not going to get into because it is what it is. Even this match, I'm trying to stay focused. This match still, like, the whole Jack is upset that the Young Bucks didn't, like, reach out to him when he needed them the most and all that stuff. Like, eye rolling. Because I don't know. They could have made so much more out of it. I don't know if they had to pivot at the last second. I don't know. But to me, they just could have gotten a lot more out of it. So it is what it is. I'm going to, like I said, try to stay focused and not harp on it. But if you're going to have Jack Perry and I'll just say Jurassic Express, if you're going to have Jurassic Express win this match for 500K, have fun with it, dude. Have fun with it. So, but my official pick is the Young Bucks, even though part of me is like, like it'd be kind of crazy to have Jurassic Express lose so soon, but the Young Bucks can do some shicey shit, they can obviously do something cheating to win just to get the 500K, and then Jurassic Express, it just feels like such a long, like, 2 words to say, but they can get their victory back at Full Gear. I think Full Gear is up next. Yeah, so I don't know, but again, on the same token too, I love the broke Bucks, so there's that. But moving on, we have excuse me, Kyle Fletcher. This feels like a freaking Night of Champions pay-per-view. We have Kyle Fletcher, your TNT champion, facing off against Mark Briscoe. Long story short on this one, I think it's a no-brainer. Fletcher's going to retain here. And yeah, Briscoe's just on another pay-per-view card. Props to him, dude. Like, he's racking them up. Props to him. But this will be a good match. But to me, like, I'm just ready to see Fletcher really be involved in something like a long-term, it's like substantial and fruitful story. So there's that. And I'm hoping with how many people the Don Callis family has and the different dynamics that they have in that group, hopefully, there's something boiling in the background and something that they all have in mind. So staying positive for that. Speaking of championships, we have Brodito, your tag team champions, defending against, and speaking of Don Callis family, which is the 2 members of the Don Callis family, Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita, of course, the Don himself. I'm predicting a tag team title change up here. I feel the it's just the visual of Okada holding up both titles and just having that shit eating, easy for me to say, eating grin on his face. I feel like they can have so much fun with it, and it'll be cool. Double champion, right? To see Takeshita, such a dynamic though, right? To see Takeshita be a world heavyweight champion essentially and a tag team champion at the same time. Um, so that'll be interesting and fun. But yeah, I'm predicting the Don Callis family wins here. You can have Brodito retain and have, Takeshita. I don't know. But it'd be crazy to think though too, like who would take the pinfall loss between the two? Would be Okada, and it'd be crazy to see Okada take the loss, right? But with Takeshita being a newly crowned champion, you definitely don't want to see that either. So that's another reason I'm thinking they're going to pick up the victory here. But I was going to say, if you do want Brodito to retain here, you can have Okada and Takeshita being pissed off at each other, that blaming each other for the loss. So you can go that route and create more dissension there. But I think we're still early on from that. I think you start with the obvious, right? You start with them being not the best of friends, right? Tag team champions. Okada's been entertaining. I will give them credit for that lately. But yeah, I can see them picking up the victory here, having some fun with being the tag team champions for a couple months, and then building up that dissension card and going from there. We have a non-championship match. Jamie Hayter facing off against Tekla. This one I think is going to be a good match. I think it's going to be a low-key like sleeper, not like match of the card or anything like that, but I feel like it's going to surprise a lot of people. But I think Tekla's going to win here. I think she's, like the shiny new toy right now. She just recently spoke, so you don't want to drop the ball on that. So I feel like she's going to pick up the victory here. It kind of sucks for Hayter, just where she is right now. But I think Jamie Hayter is one of those where when you need like a serious or a believable title or championship contender, you can have her go on a couple match winning streak and put her in that slot. So I don't think it's going to be too detrimental for Jamie Hayter. Again, it just sucks though if you're her. But I think Tekla is going to pick up the victory here and move on. What up, boss? What up? What up? What up, CB? Hey, Sean. It's funny, Sean. I was literally when I was driving back to get from getting my coffee, thinking about the show. I thought about you, dude. I hadn't seen you around lately. Hope you're good. Hope you're good, Sean. But I'm happy to see you in here, man. What up, Lenny? What up, guys? The boss, yeah, dude. I mean, that would be that's the match of the night right there. Like, it would be a shame if they had this match and didn't put it on the main card, because that is something that you want people to put their money down for, and that would be Zack Hader and Tyler Sage facing off against Eddie Kingston and Hook for the Tailgate Brawl, answering that open challenge. I think you're spot on there, boss. I think that's the comment of the afternoon, late morning so far. K Smith, yeah, dude. I'm gonna get to this Samoa Joe. Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. Bro, yeah. CB, you said AEW dropped the ball with Eddie Kingston. He should have been AEW Stone Cold Steve Austin. In a perfect world, he'd be the level of Steve Austin, right? But I get what you're saying in the sense that just that outlaw, right? Like that rugged character, like doesn't give a F, like just like his music hits, he just comes in, handles business, and goes back. You know what I mean? Like, he's great on the mic in the sense that people just love him. You know, like, he's not like the best, you know, like the best spoken or anything like that, but he goes out there and like he reels you in because of the realness. You know what I mean? Little double entendre there, but yeah, man, and that's what I was saying. Like, just the for whatever reason, like every time I think of Eddie Kingston now, I just think of that visual of just him bloody and just beaten up, just looking just dirty, walking down the ramp with that gas can, man, and that it's just so badass. And yeah, like that's why I was just very disappointed. I feel like you said, like they dropped the ball with his return because they could have made him a big deal. Because in my opinion, he felt like a big deal before, and he felt like, you know, like maybe not solely in the main event, but definitely an upper Carter. You know what I mean? Like definitely one of the more, I don't want to say the more important guys, but the upper talent. You know what I mean? And with how long he's been out, like man, like you could have had. Excuse me, man, like my voice is leaving me, but they could have had. You know, if you don't want to do like a video journey or anything like that, like kind of gone the Triple H route, you know, when he was making his return back in, what was it, 2001? Man, like you just, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's just, it bums me out the more and more I sit here and think about it. I'm right there with you, bro. Man, sorry, guys. Yeah, I feel you, Sean. You said just been busy. I feel it was good to see you, dude. Hey, what's up, Dominic? What up, sir? Media call, dude. Representing Brassring Media well. Very cool. Very cool to hear you, my friend. And good to see you in the chat. I appreciate you popping in. Fernando, what up? What up? Fernando, you said Eddie Kingston is no Stone Cold. Come on. Yeah, dude. Exactly. That's the problem. That's the problem. And no one's going to be Stone Cold, right? But just to compare, just the idea of having like a template, right? No one's ever going to be the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. And honestly, like no one should be. Like you should go out there and take the template and like write down like, okay, like this is what, you know, like got him to that point. And sometimes like you can write it down, but you still like people just have that it factor, you know, like that tangible, whatever it is, whatever it is. Some people just have it, you know, some people just have it. And your Steve Austins, The Rocks, John Cena's, you know, like Hulk Hogan's, like those people had it, you know, whether you want to admit it or not. So, yeah, like not saying Eddie Kingston, excuse me, would have been the next Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? But shit, like he could have been the next big deal and the next big thing for your company and make him your own. So that's kind of where they're coming with that. Yes. Fernando, okay, you said Eddie Kingston has been gone with a serious injury. That's why he's on Collision working out the rust. And what way did AEW drop the ball? So first of all, it's all about presentation, right? And just the fact, I don't even know the exact percentage, but a high percentage of your AEW audience does not watch Collision. So if you want Eddie Kingston to be a big deal, you bring him back on Dynamite, first of all. You do not bring him back and have him face off against a Big Bill. Again, no disrespect to Big Bill. I've said multiple times how much respect I have for Big Bill. It's just a matter of placement of where Big Bill is on the card, right? It could have been anyone in the same playing field as a Big Bill, right? And again, nothing against him. It could have been remove Big Bill and insert wrestler X, Y, and Z. If you want Eddie Kingston to be a big deal and to continue to be someone who is a, you know, like a main star, someone who rightfully so feuded with CM Punk, you know, and your Brian Danielsons and stuff like that. You bring him back and position him that way. Not saying he needs to come back and wrestle every week, but you bring him back and you have him confront Jon Moxley right off the bat. And then you have him wrestle against a Pac or Wheeler Yuta if you need him to work out the ring rust. You know what I mean? If it's a matter of that. I don't I don't understand why he has to be on Collision to do that. He should be on Dynamite doing that. So, yeah, dude, that's where I'm at with that. So, I think you and I respectfully agree, or maybe agree to disagree on that one. Not saying they've completely dropped the ball, but in this, they can still pick it back up. You know what I mean? But they definitely did not do him justice on his return. So, just kind of where I'm at with it. And again, Eddie Kingston, like I was saying earlier, I forget about who, or Jamie Hayter. Again, a wild comparison. He is someone that can very easily talk himself into the main event slot in less time, within like one show, right? So I'm not saying like he's completely down and out or anything like that, but damn, like you could have made him feel like on Collision of all places, like really, and it was just so random, like just the whole thing, dude. Like it was just not great. What up, Chris? Hey, Maddie, what up, dude? What up? No, dude, I haven't. Oh, yeah, in Perth, yeah, I did. I did see his reaction in Perth. They were recently in Japan. I don't know, I think they're still over there. Maybe they're coming back now. But apparently he got like a good reaction. He was like interacting with Shinsuke. Like I saw a clip right before I started here of him and Shinsuke, and he was doing like Shinsuke's dance or whatever. It was pretty cool. Pretty cool. But yeah, moving on with the card. Where are we at? We have the Hurt Syndicate facing off against the Demand. Hurt Syndicate, of course. We have the trios. Pretty much a trios match here. Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP facing off against the Demand, which encompasses Ricochet, Bishop Khan, and Toa Liona. Man, again, with this one, this has got to be the blow off, right? At this point, with these guys, it would make sense, right? Especially if it's the blow off with the Hurt Syndicate to win. But I just feel like the Demand needs the victory here. Like it's gonna be, sound crazy, but I just feel like the Demand, yeah, just needs it. Long story short, just needs the victory more. And I don't think the Hurt Syndicate picking up a loss here would really suffer from that at all, or really hurt from it. No pun intended there. But yeah, I feel like they can very easily lose here, take a week or two off of TV, come back strong, come back strong in the sense of having them kind of go their own singles route, not break up, still have them all be a group, but not just be in trios and tag matches. And I know we've seen a little bit more, right, like of individual matches, but I think going forward, your main event title scene needs someone like a Bobby Lashley in it. So not saying he needs to win or the title or anything like that, but two polar opposites. But I think him and Hangman Page could be a fun little feud for a couple months. You know what I mean? Until we get your Swerves back, your Ospreys, I guess Kenny Omega's technically there, but MJF. You know what I mean? Until we get these guys back, it wouldn't hurt to have another influx of talent in that scene. So you could do that with Bobby. Again, have Shelton Benjamin. I think a feud with Shelton Benjamin and Kyle Fletcher for the TNT Championship would just be fantastic. And again, you could still keep the group together, have the Hurt Syndicate as a faction, like supporting each other. I mean, they're not going to match up numbers wise to the Don Callis family, but you can have, like, imagine how fun it would be to hear MVP going back and forth with Don Callis. You know what I mean? So just kind of broaden and open that up a little bit and just kind of share the wealth there, because they've already been the tag team champions. So why not kind of move on in a sense? And it'll give the Demand great bragging points. Especially Ricochet. Like Ricochet talk about that shit for months. You know what I mean? So I'm with the Demand picking up the victory here. I can see Ricochet doing some shiesty shit. But yeah, I think that don't be scared. Like they're gonna be fine. Like Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin and MVP are not going to just lose all their stock because they lose one match. So yeah, man, that's where I'm at with that. Next, we have Mercedes Moné facing off against TBA. We have no idea. It's an open challenge that Mercedes has thrown out there. So we will see. It will be for the TBS Championship Again, we have no idea who it will be against. Maybe there's some speculation, some rumors out there. I try to avoid that just because I like to be surprised. You know what I mean? So if you guys know, cool. I do not. So there's that. If you want to throw it in chat, you're more than welcome to. But unless it's like a confirmed spoiler, probably don't, because we try to be respectful, and stay spoiler free. Because a lot of people don't like to know in advance. So read the chat at your own risk in social media, right? But unless it's someone crazy making their debut, I expect Mercedes to retain here because I think she's going for like number 11 this week. So I doubt she's gonna lose the TBS championship right now. Nor should she, unless, like I said, like they're debuting someone. I don't even know who it would be, free agent wise. Who's just like unbelievable, which like no disrespect to whoever it ends up being, but come on, it's Mercedes Moné, like on the run she's been on, and I think she's just shy of beating Jade Cargill's record for the longest reigning TBS champion. So highly doubt they're gonna pull that trigger right now. Again, crazier things have happened, right? But speaking of the women, we will move on to officially Chris Statlander, our AEW Women's World Champion, defending against Timeless Toni Storm. Chatted about it a little bit briefly a little bit ago. Again, like I was saying, like I'm very surprised that they took the title off of Toni Storm, but I would be even more surprised if they switched the title back to her at this point, which is sad because I'm a big Toni Storm fan. I still think that they should have left the title on her. But I don't see them having Chris Statlander lose right now. You know what I mean? It's just too soon. Again, if you've listened to me before, I'm sorry, beating a dead horse. But I don't think Chris Statlander was the wrong decision to be the one eventually dethroning Toni Storm. I just would have wanted it built up a little bit more and given Chris a little bit more of a solo spotlight. You know what I mean? And really have it pack a bit more of a punch in that singles aspect, in that singles world. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with that. But my opinion, Statlander is retaining here. I think it's going to be a fun match, though. And I do like the build that they've had going into it. So, props to them for that. Very creative. Toni Storm, it's just, God, like, people would say, like, back in the day, like, can you imagine, like, being in, like, Jeff Hardy's brain or something like that? Like, Toni Storm's creative brain, like, I'm sure is just a sight to be seen. But I think we are now officially at the main event. Make sure I didn't miss anything. John Statlander. Yeah. I think we finally made it to the main event, guys. I feel like I've been sitting here as long as the AEW pay-per-view is. But we've made it to Hangman Adam Page, of course, our AEW World Champion, defending against Samoa Joe. This started because Joe was pissed off that the championship was dropped. Took it very, very personally, and just kind of went from there. The beginning was kind of rough, right? But again, I will say they won me over. I think it was the second week with that in-ring promo that they had, just facing off against each other with Tony and Schiavone in the ring. Pretty certain it was their anniversary show. Joe is just fantastic, right? Just fantastic. And I believe he did mention that he is going to be wrapping up his in-ring career once his AEW contract is done as well, which is just sad to see, right? Like all of our 2000s greats are bowing out, but I will say I'm happy they're able to do so on their own terms. It's a vast change from different eras where a lot of the talent had to retire early or unfortunately are no longer here with us, and lost their lives very early on. So it's at least very rewarding to see them be able to have a retirement tour and be able to announce their plans, for the next year, like, or I'm going to be wrapping it up around this time. So it's very cool to see in that regard, but it does like personally kind of suck, and make you feel old too. It's like, damn, like we're at that point in life that certain people are retiring. So yeah, bittersweet. bittersweet, but I am happy that Joe was able to be a champion in AEW. You know, say what you want about AEW. You know, we'll get into that a different day. But he was taken seriously in AEW, and he was presented pretty well. Of course, like to me, like the whole trios thing, like Joe is better than a trios. No disrespect, but Joe is a singles guy, man. Like Joe is just that badass, like singles dude. Like he's there for himself. Like has no friends, has a code, right? But doesn't need friends, doesn't need partners. He's just there to win his own championships. And I liked that he referenced that, you know, like he got sidetracked and trust me, I get it, being sidetracked. But he got distracted with being part of a trio, you know, like taking, you know, like dethroning and dismantling the Death Riders, which I guess technically didn't happen. But at least getting the championship off of Moxley and putting it on a page. But Joe still doesn't think that Page should be the champion. So this is pretty much just like a proving grounds for Hangman, right? Which Hangman referenced himself. But yeah, it's kind of like Hangman going against one of the Dons of wrestling, right? Like one of the godfathers of wrestling, and just going out there and having one of those like, okay, prove it type matches, which I don't think us as fans were necessarily like thinking like, or maybe if you're not a Hangman Page fan, maybe that's one of your arguments that he's not a main event guy. I feel like he is, especially in AEW. I feel like the story and the journey that his character has been on is at that point. But shit, going out there and having a kick-ass match against Samoa Joe and retaining your championship with no cheating, no nothing involved. I mean, doesn't get much better than that, right? So again, an obvious choice. I'm going Hangman retaining here. No real surprise, but I think this is going to be one of those matches that is snug and just stiff and hard hitting. You know what I mean? Not one of those where like a lot of weapons are obviously, you know, it's a straight up match, but nothing, no outside foolery has to really go on here. No cheating, no nothing like that. Just a straight up physical match. So I'm looking forward to it for that reason. But we made it through. We made it through the AEW card, guys. I'm gonna dive into your chats here really quick, and then, like I said, we will move on with our day, guys. But I appreciate everyone watching here on YouTube. You guys are fantastic. Everyone watching over on Twitter, I appreciate you guys as well. You could be doing a lot with your Saturday morning, afternoon ish. So I appreciate you popping in here, whether it's live or on replay. Appreciate it. Fernando, you said I think Cedric is going to appear to help the Hurt Syndicate. I mean, yeah, they say that his TNA contract is up. So we will see. I appreciate that, Chris. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate the love. Maddie. You're all out of bubblegum. You cracked me up, bro. Happy you were able to make it in, dude. Oh, yeah, Chris. Okay. So you said, I hope Mercedes Moné doesn't win it. Maybe Dakota Kai. And Sean, you said these open challenges are getting very redundant. Yeah, man, I feel like everyone is doing open challenges right now. Oh, Seven, what up, dude? I appreciate the super sticker. No message there, but I appreciate that, dude. We appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Very kind. Y'all are funny, bro. Oh, okay, Fernando. So she's already passed it. You said Ash, the CEO, has already passed Jade, aka Miss Overrated. Ooh, shots fired. Okay, so she has officially passed the record. Okay, but I mean, shit, she still ain't losing. She still ain't losing anytime soon. La Yeska. I'll never forget that shit, dude. La Yeska. That's crazy. That's some crazy stuff, bro. Yeah, Sean, I feel you said it was the wrong choice in my mind. Stat just isn't championship material for me. Who is she? the whole who is she, like I get that. And I've said that before too. Like I'll never forget the I guess it was kind of like a little fan access. It was before, oh my god, what was it? Revolution, I think the pay-per-view was. Back in 2022 when it was here in Orlando, they had like a little fan thing leading up to it, but it was nothing major, like I was talking about earlier. Which they should continue doing, and I don't know if they do. But they had a group of the female wrestlers in the ring, just kind of like a Q&A, just like an open thing. And the question to Statland, I think it was Renee, or no, I forget who was hosting. I don't think Renee was there yet, but I forget who was hosting it. Doesn't matter. But the question was presented to Statlander. How'd you get started in wrestling? Like pretty much like what's your story? you know, and she had said something to the effect of like she didn't really grow up watching wrestling. She wasn't really into wrestling. Someone told her that like, oh, maybe like she should try it out. And she did, and she ended up being pretty good at it, and she just kind of fell into it that way. Kind of like was the gist of it. And I just remember thinking, like, wow, okay, like that's just very different. And like it just I don't know. And it's kind of like those NIL, like those the ID, or not the ID, but like especially like the NIL ones that WWE does, like they're like straight out of college, like like still like a college athlete type thing. Maybe didn't grow up loving wrestling, and you don't have to be a good wrestler. It's just different, But yeah, yeah. CB, you said AJ Styles is retiring next year too. Yeah, dude. They're gonna like officially, I guess, have like a little retour, a little retirement tour for him too. I appreciate you, Sai. Thank you all for popping in. And yeah, boss, exactly. That's why the whole Cedric coming to AEW thing was always interesting to me, because Big Swole and AEW did not have the best of leaving terms. And Tony Khan even said some shit about her, like way early on in AEW, like she wasn't the best talent or like the most like I don't know skill talent or some shit like that. Like I have to look it up, but yeah, man, you're funny, bro. But all right, guys, we will be wrapping it up there. I appreciate everyone so much for joining us. Like I said, a little bit later, I appreciate you guys, as always, for jumping in either live or watching on replay. Everyone over on Twitter, appreciate all you guys. Of course, everyone on YouTube, appreciate all you guys. And Seven, again, for the super sticker. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are very kind. But yeah, guys, enjoy AEW WrestleDream if you'll be watching it tonight. It's gonna be a busy week, so we'll see. But definitely we'll be back here next weekend to follow up on everything that's gonna be happening between the next 7 days between now and next Saturday. So until then, guys, for me over here on Brass Ring Media, thank you as always. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please do all that. You guys know what to do. Again, everyone on Twitter, throw us a follow on there. That'd be pretty dope. But until next time, guys, thank you so much. Have a great weekend and stay safe. Take care.